Hey, today I'm going to be making a beef and bacon pie. It's one of my favorites, and I just wanted to make this in case you wanted to make it too. I worked at the food pantry yesterday, and they were going to get rid of turkey bacon. Nobody wanted that. And some veal cubes, which are basically stewed beef. And I had a pork chop in the freezer just because I didn't have enough meat. I'm going to make it out to be a pound and a half. And I had beef broth. I got plums at the pantry and dates at the pantry. And I will add some raisins as well. And I'm going to also use red wine vinegar. So we're going to start by cutting up a half cup of bacon. And I don't really measure that because you really can't get that wrong. So it says diced or cubed, I believe. It also says easy open, which it is not. And this is turkey bacon, which I have no idea how that'll taste, but we'll make a best guess as to what a quarter cup is. That's probably a half a cup, but that's okay. So we'll dice or cube it with our scissors or kitchen shears, I guess they're probably appropriately called. And we're supposed to cook this until the fat runs out of it. Oh yeah, that's definitely more than a quarter cup, but I guarantee you can't have too much bacon. Although with turkey, I don't know how the turkey bacon tastes. We'll see. All right, so while that crispifies, we will prepare the next. Now, once the fat runs from it, I'm supposed to drain off the fat and then add beef, spices, vinegar, and fruits. Okay, so we can prepare the beef, spices, vinegar, and fruits. Key here is small bits. Oh, wow. So a veal cube like this. Almost looks like pork. So as with any meat pie, really, you're just making small chunks that will cook quickly. Smells like bacon. Now, the recipe calls for stew beef, but like I say, these veal cubes were free and they seem very tender, so I'm sure they will work just fine. They actually look like pork. So if anything, this will not have as much fat in it. And as I say, this is just over a pound. I set that to medium heat just to get the fat out without it crisping up too fast. Okay, that's the veal. Pork chop that I had frozen. Really small pieces are good. The consistency of the pork chop is a little weird because I froze and refroze it. I'm gonna trim off the bone and the fat. I'll use that in beans later. Like I say, I just want the extra meat for the pie today. So I'm gonna fix that. It's really crispy, not like this. And there really is no fat to drain there. Get the pork cubed up real quick. Now it says I'm going to cook this on low heat. Again, the pork is just a filler anyway to make out the, should have a pound and a half of beef. And it's about
not a half pound pork chop, but it'll certainly help to fill out the pie. And besides, I didn't have real bacon, so I'm hoping to get some of that pork flavor with the turkey bacon. And as I say, with the regular bacon, you're supposed to drain off the fat, but this turkey bacon really had no fat to speak of. Supposed to have a third a cup of prunes. Be careful with the prunes. You don't want to have too many, but I love them. So I'm up real quick. Right in there. Fruit really gives it a delicious flavor. Probably zoom in for you here in just a minute. As I make some counter space. See all the fatty juices coming out. Dates. So these are prunes, dried plums with my prunes, um, raisins, dates. Dates are good to go. You see some big ones, just cut them in half. I like everything a little bit smaller. Raisins, a third a cup of raisins. I like to be a little heavy on the fruit because it's delicious. And a quarter cup of red wine vinegar. Red wine vinegar.
Enough broth, beef broth to thoroughly wet the mixture. Now, I always add too much. But because you have to let it boil down, and that takes a long time. Three tablespoons flour. Now it's 11 o'clock now. While that cooks, I'm going to make a pie crust.
1. Half cups of flour. 2 tablespoons of sugar. 1/2 teaspoon of salt. 8 tablespoons of butter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's thin slices. Ultimately, you're making little tiny bits of butter. So you just whittle off little chunks of butter. That's what makes the crust yummy, I think. Yes. Less than pea-sized little chunks of butter. Get a big chunk, just you can scissor it right in there. And if you catch it later, it's okay too. Pie smells really good now, by the way. Get this done, I'll show you. Really is difficult to get it small enough with the scissors, but I'm lazy. We'll try it. Now, this recipe is interesting in that it also calls for margarine. Don't have a lot of it. 2 tablespoons of margarine, and it calls for 4. So I will use 2 of margarine and 2 of Crisco. Simply because that's what I have.
I don't think the crust will judge me. I know the key is keeping it cold, from what I read. So you probably want to be faster than me. It's really a pain to deal with. So 4 tablespoons of ice water. First thing I'm gonna do is make some ice water here. Oh, I just put an ice cube in a 1/4 cup of water. I'm gonna set this aside for a moment and check pie filling. Smells absolutely phenomenal. See that? Caramelizing bits on the bottom, which would be fun. Um, I think that is going to be absolutely fine. So I'm going to put it on low and let it just really just thicken a little more. But I want to add a little more broth. So we can let that have a little more time. Either on the burner while we cook. All right. Let's cook. Put some prunes there. And when you see it's too big, you just chuck it up. Oh, here, we've got our ice water. It's very cold. Just your fingers, bits of butter are what make the dough flaky. Add the ice water in a stirring stirring with a fork until the water is incorporated in the flour. When all the flour is moist, I will make a ball and then I will use the rolling pin. Okay, so I'm going to take out the ice cube, add it in a steady stream, and I'm going to stir it in. Make a ball. This always happens to me. Like a biscuit, it makes a really loose mixture. I don't think there was enough water. I never do. Make it cold enough fast enough here. This is better. I'm more able to get a ball now. I did more like 6 tablespoons of water. Definitely starting to look more like a dough ball. I can work it here. So we're going to flatten this out. And theoretically, half is going to be the top of the pie crust, and half is going to be the bottom. And it doesn't have to be fancy. That's the key. So show you the pie plate here. This pie plate. Now, so set it aside for later. Oh, 50. Okay, close. Whoops. Go too aggressive right there. Trick is keeping it cold. Think we can do this. Let's take a look. Yeah. Oh, so close. Do a little repair work as necessary. Fit. Give me just a moment. Never turn that down. Okay. So just a little more, but first I forgot to spray the pan. Probably okay, but never hurts to hit it with spray. Little roll right there. Trying to get it to stick. You have a tear, it's no big deal, just put a little wetness on it, patch it up. Again, does not have to be perfect. The pie filling will fill the hole so it doesn't leak out. That's not the end of the world, I guess. I cut it off at the pie pan. Some people leave extra to fold around. I do not. I'm going to turn this off. It's supposed to cool. Now, right now, it's about 15 degrees outside. So press it on your pan and put it outside while I work on the top crust. And it should cool right down right away. Pie crust, oops, yep, it's off. Thing is good. Pie crust that really matters is the pie crust on top. So we want to do a nice job on that. Now, I have even read where you put the pie crust in the refrigerator before you work it out. I'm not someone who prepares it ahead of time. I just make it and eat it. But my crust is not great, so that could be why. This is definitely better than the last one, so. If I have extra crust, I make like meat pies with it. And you can save it between pieces of wax paper in the fridge for the future. Anything that's left over. This is coming out really nicely. Great. Bring our pie filling back in. Take the time, 11:24. For that right now. Boiling a little bit, but as you can see, it's much thicker. We're gonna put this filling into the crust. Well, look how thick that is. Pull those crunchy bits off in just a minute. I didn't turn the heat down fast, so it definitely cooked right down. Bring in some assistance here. It does stick on the pan a little bit. Crispy bits today. I'm sorry. Sadly, I think I have to throw that away. A little too creamy. Use this bits. Yeah. Magic of maybe. My mother would do all sorts of fancy work with her fingers, but I don't. I just push it down. Here we go. And we're gonna bake it in the oven at 375 for 40 minutes. As I said, is take this crust, any crust you have extra, save it. You can use it for a small pie, or I take a beef stew and I just make a crust over it and bake it in the oven. It's delicious. Okay, so the pie has been in the oven for 44 minutes. I'm gonna check it out. Starting to brown around the edge. It's gonna be the only thing that I don't see is it's not bubbling yet, so I'm not gonna count it as done. That said, I made myself a little snack here. I'll take that out of the oven. Made these little pinwheels out of the extra crust. Give it a few more minutes. It's cooking at 375. Thought I'd show these to you before they completely gone. My little helper has already been here, but helping them disappear. So that's what they look like. There's the pie again. It's been in 47 minutes. You can see the bubbles starting to form in the middle. It's really time to come out. I'll let it cool and then I'll cut a piece and show you what it looks like. Okay, the pie has been cooling and it's ready to cut. Delicious. Good day. I hope this was helpful to somebody.